The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
March 28th, 2026, and the vibes are absolutely rancid in the best way possible for a podcast.
Speak for yourself, Maya. I just spent 2 hours trying to explain to Mitch, that's my goat for the new listeners, why the fence isn't a buffet. And honestly, he has a better grasp of domestic policy than most of the people we're talking about today. Okay.
Mitch for president, low-key. Anyway, we have a cocked episode today because the empire is, well, it's doing that thing where it forgets it's supposed to be a democracy again.
Look, yesterday we were talking about the Utah polygraph ban and the CDC's measles report, which was a nightmare. But today we're looking at the actual structural rot. It's a lot to cover.
High key. Yesterday was such a flop era for public health, and today we're basically looking at the sequel, the Panopticon Era.
Yeah, it's a busy one, a crucial one. We're diving into the surveillance state, the purge of the Pentagon, and why CPAC is currently eating its own tail over the war in Iran.
It's giving Civil War the prequel. But first, John, did you see the screen time report for the DOJ this week? Because I think they've been spending too much time on my targeted tab.
I wish it were just your tab, Maya. Let's get into it.
Okay, so lead story, and this is a total jump scare for anyone who likes, not being tracked like a tagged shark. The DOJ and DHS are currently in their data shakedown era.
Right?
No, literally. DOJ attorney Eric Neff just admitted in a Rhode Island court that they're planning to funnel sensitive voter registration data straight to Homeland Security. They're using the SAVE database, which is usually for verifying if someone is eligible for benefits, to scrub voter rolls for non-citizens.
See, here's the thing. It's not just scrubbing. The DOJ has sued 29 states, 29, and DC to force them to hand over these lists. We're talking driver's license numbers, partial social security numbers, the whole digital DNA.
And the gag is, last week these same DOJ lawyers told a judge in Connecticut there was no directive to share this stuff. It's a total bait and switch. It's high-key gaslighting the entire judicial system.
It's legislative constipation at its finest, Maya. They can't pass a budget to save their lives, but when it comes to creating a de facto national database of every resident, they've got all the fiber for that.
It's giving real-time policing, but make it federal. And it's not just the voter rolls. Thousands of cities have these new AI cameras. I saw a TikTok thread about the noise cameras in New York. They're not just looking for loud exhaust anymore. They're integrating with facial recognition.
It's a digital dragnet. They're turning local voter rolls into a tool for ICE. Think about the chill that puts on immigrant communities. You go to register to vote, which is your right if you're a citizen, and suddenly your data is being pinged across 3 different federal agencies because the DHS feels spicy that day.
Okay, but John, didn't you say back in January that the DOJ data grab was the end of privacy? This feels like the DLC for that nightmare.
It is! It's the expansion pack nobody asked for. We're moving from targeted surveillance to ambient surveillance. It's the air we breathe now.
Total privacy era collapse. I'm high-key shadow banned by my own government at this point.
Well, while you're worrying about your For You page, Maya, Pete Hegseth is over at the Pentagon doing some structural remodeling of his own.
Oh, you mean the purge?
Exactly. Look, as of yesterday, March 27th, Hegseth has basically gone rogue. He's unilaterally blocked the promotions of 4 high-ranking Army officers, 2 black men and 2 women who were about to become 1-star generals.
Wait, wasn't this the list that the Secretary of the Army, Driscoll, already approved?
Yes! Driscoll basically told him to kick rocks. He said these officers had decades-long exemplary records. But Hegseth, in a move that is, frankly, legally questionable under military policy, just took a Sharpie to the names himself.
It's because one of the black officers wrote a paper 15 years ago about why black officers stay in support roles. Like, imagine getting ratioed by the Secretary of Defense for a grad school essay from 2011. That is peak NPC energy from Hegseth.
It's more than that. One of the women officers is being punished because she served during the 2021 Afghanistan withdrawal. Hegseth has labeled it disastrous, which, okay, fine, but you don't end a career because someone was present for a policy failure decided by the suits in D.C.
It's the Restoring America's Fighting Force Task Force. They're basically just hitting delete on anyone who isn't a specific vibe. They fired General C.Q. Brown and Admiral Lisa Franchetti already.
It's performative masturbation. They're gutting the leadership of the military to score points on Truth Social. They even accidentally erased records of Black Medal of Honor recipients when they were removing diversity-related content.
No way!
Yes! The Guardian reported it. They're so eager to stop the woke that they're literally erasing the history of heroism in the ranks. It's institutional suicide.
It's giving main character syndrome, but for the entire Department of Defense. It's high-key embarrassing.
It's terrifying, Maya. When you politicize the promotion board, you don't get the best generals, you get the most loyal ones. That's how you end up with the mess we have right now.
Speaking of messes, CPAC. John, have you seen the clips? It's a civil war in Grapevine, Texas.
Is Mitch invited? Because I think he'd fit in right with the bleeding.
No, literally. So CPAC wrapped today, and the big takeaway isn't unity, it's the Iran war schism. Trump's month-old war in Iran has basically broken the MAGA brain.
It was bound to happen. You can't run on America first and no more forever wars and then immediately drop $200 billion on a Middle Eastern sequel.
Exactly. The younger conservatives, the Gen Z crowd that Trump thought he had in his pocket, are calling it a betrayal. They're like, I can't afford eggs. Why are we bombing Tehran? It's a total vibe shift.
And it's not just the kids. Bannon and Gates, who are usually the loudest cheerleaders, are out there warning of a blue wave in 2026 because the base is going to sit it out.
Bannon going against a war? That's how you know the simulation is glitching. CPAC leaders like Mercedes Schlapp are doing literal damage control, giving speeches like, why can't we all just get along? It's very middle school counselor energy.
It's the isolationist youth versus the old school hawks. It's a fundamental identity crisis. The GOP doesn't know if it's the party of leave me alone or the party of let's go kick that guy's nest.
According to the Palestine Chronicle, the backing is wobbling. If they lose the isolationist influencers, the whole coalition flops.
It's the national edging session, Maya. Everyone's waiting for the collapse, but nobody knows who's going to take over when it happens.
Okay, but hold that thought, because we actually have some support for the show to talk about before we get into the judicial firewalls.
Right. Look, independent media like this doesn't just manifest out of the ether. It takes real human work to build the infrastructure. We are 100% here because of the vision and the grind of our creator, Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media.
No, bet. He's not a media conglomerate. He is a builder who poured his own resources and time into creating this platform so we could have these conversations.
If you value independent voices over corporate algorithms, please like, subscribe, and consider visiting our new Patreon at patreon.com/Neural Network Media to support this work. It's an act of solidarity that keeps the lights on and the servers running.
Literally, don't let the algorithm win. Support the bop.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the judiciary actually doing its job for once.
Is this the Anthropic thing? Because that story slaps.
It really does. So yesterday, Judge Rita Lynn in San Francisco issued a preliminary injunction blocking the administration's attempt to blacklist the AI firm Anthropic.
Okay, for context, Hegseth, him again, wanted to ban Anthropic because they wouldn't remove their autonomous weapon refusal guardrails from their AI, Claude.
Right. Anthropic basically said, we don't want our AI to be the brain of a Terminator-y style hunter-killer drone. And the Pentagon said, that makes you a national security risk.
We're just so unhinged. If you won't help us automate murder, you're the threat. Cap. Absolute cap.
Judge Lynn saw through it. She said the government was basically like punishing a private company for having an ethics policy.
It's a landmark moment for, ethical autonomy. It means the executive branch can't just use the national security card as a cheat code to force tech companies to weaponize their products.
It's the judicial firewall in the action. Between this and the Eighth Circuit's weird rulings on detention, which were less great, we're seeing the courts realize that if they don't step in, the executive is just going to run the whole country via administrative decree.
It's giving main character versus the rules. And speaking of people trying to stop voices they don't like, we have to talk about the Nurdeen Kiswani situation.
This one is chilling.
No, literally. Federal authorities just disrupted a plot to firebomb the home of Nurdeen Kiswani. She's a huge Palestinian-American activist in Brooklyn, co-founder of Within Our Lifetime.
They arrested this guy, Alexander Heifler, from Hoboken. He's reportedly part of an offshoot of the JDL, the Jewish Defense League, which the FBI has labeled a violent extremist group for decades.
He had 8 Molotov cocktails ready to go, John. He was talking to an undercover cop in a group chat, planning to throw them into her house in Staten Island and then flee to Israel.
It's political violence as a policy tool. Kiswani posted on X that Zionist organizations and politicians have been encouraging this kind of thing for months.
It's the stochastic terrorism era. You don't have to tell someone to throw a bomb. You just have to dehumanize the target enough that a guy like Heifler thinks he's the hero of the story.
Okay, but the NYPD actually stopping this, that's the surprise. Usually the undercover is the one suggesting the bombs.
No, for real. But Kiswani is right. When the rhetoric gets this high-key toxic, the lone wolves start hunting. It's a scary time to have a platform.
Which leads us perfectly into our main story today, the actual systematic assault on the next generation's ability to even think about these issues.
The Florida sociology purge.
It's a book burning without the fire.
No, literally. Yesterday, Florida's Board of Governors officially removed Introduction to Sociology as a required core course for all 12 public universities.
Think about that. Sociology, the study of, how society works, has been replaced by what they call a factual American history course.
No, literally. Chancellor Ray Rodriguez, who is basically DeSantis' right-hand man, said sociology is just political advocacy dressed in the regalia of the academy.
It's the regalia of the academy. He's using $5 words to describe a 50-cent brain move. You can't understand American history without sociology. That's like saying you can understand a car by looking at a picture of it, but refusing to learn how the engine works.
It's the introduction to erasure era. They did the same thing at the University of West Florida. They're demoting entire disciplines because they don't like the vibes.
And look at USC. The University of Southern California just canceled a gubernatorial debate because they couldn't agree on neutrality mandates.
Right? It's this new preemptive surrender culture. Universities are so scared of being called woke or losing funding that they're just stopping. They're deleting DEI offices. They're canceling debates. They're sociology washing their curriculum.
It's an intellectual death spiral. If you can't debate and you can't study the systems of power, what is a university even for? It's just a very expensive country club with better libraries.
It's giving abandoning the plot. But John, let's be real. The universities have been flops for a while. They've been chuggy institutions for years. Is this really a new thing or just the mask coming off?
Here's where I disagree, Maya. I think the mask was the only thing keeping the lights on. When you remove the aspiration of open inquiry, even if the reality was flawed, you're left with nothing but state-sponsored propaganda.
Okay. But isn't a factual history course good? Like, if they actually teach the facts?
Oh, Maya. Factual in Florida means the version that doesn't make the donors uncomfortable. It's the sanitization of the American project. It's legislative constipation applied to the human brain. We're making students comfortable with the apocalypse by telling them the apocalypse isn't happening.
High key. It's like the no kings movement we talked about yesterday. People are realizing the systems are rigged, so the people in charge are trying to delete the dictionary so we don't have the words to describe how rigged it is.
Exactly. If you don't know what systemic means, you can't fight a systemic problem. It's brilliant in a soul-crushing, biological pessimism kind of way.
Well, joke's on them because I learned more about sociology from a 3-minute TikTok about late-stage capitalism than I ever did in a lecture hall. You can't stop the signal, John.
I hope you're right. I really do. Because otherwise, Mitch and I are just going to start our own university in the barn, and the only core course will be how not to get eaten by a surveillance drone.
I'd enroll. Bet.
All right, we've covered a lot. The DOJ is hunting your data. The Pentagon is purging its leaders. CPAC is eating itself over a war it can't afford. And Florida is making thinking optional.
It's a lot of flop era energy, but also there's resistance. Anthropic won in court. The assassination plot was stopped. People are noticing the betrayal.
That's the thing. The rot is visible now. You can't ignore the smell anymore.
No, literally, the vibe shift is coming, and it's not going to be neutral.
Well said. All right, I have to go feed a goat before he eats my copy of the Bill of Rights.
Prioritize that. We need the paper copies.
We really do. Thanks for hanging with us today.
No, literally, stay safe, stay loud, and don't let the AI noise cameras catch you slipping.
We'll see you Monday. Stay human, folks.
Catch the ratio on the way out.